For Gauteng's emergency services this weekend, a number of vehicles were trapped in flood waters and at least one person died. Rescuers retrieved the man's body from a submerged vehicle just yesterday. So let's get the very latest now from Tshwane Emergency Services spokesperson, Mr. Charles Mabaso. So thank you so much for your time and good morning to you. You were on the ground working to ensure the safety of Tshwane residents. We were watching it, of course, on television, reading about it in the media. But what's been the impact of the flooding within Tshwane, just from where you stood this past weekend?
Good morning. Thank you for having me, and good morning to eNCA viewers. The impact so far, as you correctly said, we have registered a loss of life around the Tshwane area, where a man was retrieved by the South African police divers yesterday. And there are several roads that have been affected, and traffic lights were also affected in the area, as well as in the Mamelodi area and Hammanskraal, where utility services activated means to mop up the various areas, including some residents that have been displaced in Mamelodi that are sheltered in temporary shelters in two of the halls in Mamelodi.
Yeah. Mr. Mabaso, how many people have been rescued so far, at least from the downpouring that we saw from Friday?
Almost 30 people when I'm counting. Late on Saturday, there was 10 people who were rescued in Bospras, which is slightly outside Tshwane municipality, but in our proximity. We had to respond there, where 7 adults as well as 3 children were rescued from a vehicle that was trapped in the water. And around the Centurion area, in the area of the Centurion Lake and other areas, we had to attend to more than 15 people in various cars that we attended to in those days.
Right. As we send our condolences to the man who was found dead in the vehicle, I would like to know what work it took to rescue this particular man. I know there were specialist divers involved as well, but just take us through how you were alerted of the submerged vehicle and how much work and time it took to, of course, retrieve his body.
What happened is that by Friday, as it rained throughout the whole night, we had reports of various vehicles that were reported as trapped underwater. And our swiftwater rescue technicians as well as divers had to be spread across the whole area, trying to move out those people. And in the next day, when the water was subsiding, we then had reports of other cars that were not reported, and including those that could not be accessed when the water was high at the time. Then the South African went and searched again yesterday, where almost they searched throughout most of the day, and towards the afternoon, then they were able to recover the body of that man that was found in that vehicle, that Ford Ranger vehicle.
Yeah, and once again, sending our condolences to his family and loved ones during this time. Mr. Mabaso, take us through, I suppose, resistance or fear that came from some of the residents, because I understand that there were some who were obviously hanging on trees. A couple, I understand that you also found clinging on a tree branch, but some residents also throwing stones at rescuers who were on a rooftop, but they were being rescued, and I understand they were actually throwing stones. What was happening there? Was there some resistance or fear from residents around that time?
That's in the Mamelodi Fabrique, where when the South African police chopper flew above the area to scan the area so that we are able to know what we are dealing with, we're able to identify about 60 people on rooftops of their dwellings. But what puzzled us is that when we send rescuers, to evacuate them, they then hurl insults as well as threw objects at them. It is unclear up to now reason for that, but we gave that matter to the community leaders as well as local councillors to deal with it. Hence, later in our temporary shelters, we saw a large number of people reporting to our shelters, particularly the Nelmapias one, and then we are thinking that it is those residents, they came down on their own after the water subsided, and the family that was rescued on the trees in the Maubane area had also been swept the day before, but they managed to hang on to the trees and then were subsequently rescued the next day.
All right, I have to let you go in a few seconds. Before I do, if you may briefly, please, how is the situation right now in terms of the roads that have been affected, the areas that have been affected by the flooding and the downpouring? Have they been cleared?
Thank you. As of yesterday, the mobile process around the area had already started by utility service, and in Region 6, which is Mamelodi, also the utility service have activated various role players to ensure that the roads like Samaya, the roads going to Bronkhorstspruit, Old Pretoria Road, is also attended to. There will be a rollout of activities by utility services in terms of attending to various routes. I know there is one route around the Centurion area that has been closed as of yesterday. It's just that I mean that at the top of my head, but the road was badly damaged, and utility services I noticed yesterday were sent to temporarily close that road, and I will be working with colleagues from the Metropolis as well as corporate communication.
All right, thank you so much. We have to leave it there, Mr. Charles Mabaso from the Tshwane Emergency Service for updating us on what really happened this past weekend in Tshwane. And Gareth, as you could hear, some people had to, obviously go for safety, clinging on tree branches, going on top of the roofs, and unfortunately that one man who was found dead submerged in his vehicle.
That's right. Just on that vehicle, by the way, I've seen a lot of people in 4x4s claiming over the weekend that do not try and cross flooded rivers if you're not flooded roads if you aren't driving a 4x4. Let me elaborate. Yeah. Don't cross a river at all. At all. Regardless of how well trained you think you are and regardless of what vehicle you're driving. Do not do it. You can see what happens. People lose their lives. Okay.